What's up, guys? Today is day 95 of Deadlift Everyday, and today I wanted to talk about how to get big without steroids. And no, I am not talking about getting Ronnie Coleman big, if that is what you're thinking. No, I am talking about getting as big as you can as a natural lifter. And according to science, this will be somewhere between 9 and 18 kilos of muscle mass added over your training lifetime. And trust me, even adding a few kilos of muscle will already make a big difference. So when you manage to add 18 kilos of muscle, you will be a completely different person. Alright, so there are a few important factors that you need to keep in mind when trying to get as big as you can as a natural lifter. The first one is, don't listen to the advice of enhanced lifters. This goes for both gaining strength and gaining muscle. There have been numerous studies that have shown that even if you would not train and only take steroids, you'd still gain a lot of muscle. For example, there was one study which compared people that did not take steroids to people that did take steroids over a 10-week period. And even the people that did not train but took steroids gained 7 pounds of muscle over a period of 10 weeks. And then there was another study that compared the dose response to testosterone, where they had different groups of people who they gave different dosages of testosterone. And the people who received the highest dosage of testosterone gained 20 pounds of muscle in 20 weeks without even training. So whenever an enhanced lifter promotes his training method to be the best for gaining muscle, take that with a grain of salt, because the enhanced guys grow on literally everything. And sure, there may be some guys that really do have some solid advice, but be very careful with what you believe. Another factor you have to take into account is focus on progressive overload. In other words, focus on getting stronger. This can either be by adding weight, reps or sets over a period of time, while keeping the proximity to failure the same. But to keep it simple, if your 5RM, 3RM or 1RM improves over time, then you're doing the right thing. And those measures are mainly something you could use for your compound movements. A great example of a natural lifter that implements this exact thing in its purest form into his training is Alex Leonidas. He's a big fan of the conjugate method and he uses it for all his compound movements. On his max effort days, he rotates different variations of the compound movements, and every time he comes back to that exact variation, he aims to hit a PR. And he often does. And if you followed any of his training, you would have seen that it works really well for him. Now for your isolation exercises, you may use a higher rep range, like a 12, 10 or 8 RM, as doing a 3 RM on curls is a bit silly and not worth the risk of hurting yourself. But the same principle applies. Focus on progressive overload. Get stronger in various rep ranges. Just getting a nasty pump doesn't cut it for a natural lifter. Another factor you have to keep in account is that you have to control your reps on the eccentric. You have to actually make the target muscles work. Bouncing the weight around and using a lot of momentum does not work very well for a natural lifter. If you want to go fast, do it on a concentric, because that is where it actually contributes to activating as many muscle fibers as you can, thus aiding in hypertrophy. The last thing I want to touch upon is that you actually have to eat to gain muscle. And yes, for most people that means going up to somewhere between 15 and 20% body fat. And if you look at some of the most jacked natural lifters like GVS, Natural Hypertrophy, Alex Leonidas and Jeff Nippert, you will see they do exactly that when they're bulking. And now remember, this process takes time. You don't want to get to that point in a short amount of time. So what I did previously when I was trying to gain weight is add 30 grams of carbs and 3 grams of fat each week to my current intake. That comes out to an increase of around 150 calories each week. Each week I would then also note down my weight and waist circumference. As long as my weight kept rising, but my waist circumference stayed pretty much the same, I kept increasing the calories each week. If I suddenly saw that my waist was increasing for 2 weeks in a row, while still adding calories, I would keep the calories constant for a while. If I found that after keeping it constant, I would still see my waist circumference increasing, I would cut back the calories by 150 calories, and then monitor what effect that had on my weight and waist circumference. This would then carry on until I had reached the desired weight, or until I wanted to cut down again. I found this a very easy method to gain weight and not get too fat. And I think the heaviest I have been on this is somewhere between 95 and 96 kilos, and not overly fat. So in my opinion, this worked pretty well. And this is not the best way to do it, it is just a way to do it. If you want to play it by feel, go for it. But in my experience, tracking works a little better. So there you have it. 4 things you have to follow if you want to get big without steroids. And to recap it for you. 1. Don't take advice from enhanced lifters, or at least take it with a grain of salt. 2. Focus on progressive overload, so get stronger. 3. Control your reps. Make the target muscles work. And 4. Don't be scared to eat. Building muscle takes energy, so provide your body with plenty of food. And that is it. If you follow these rules as a natural lifter, and you do this for a decade, trust me, you will be a completely different person. Alright guys, that is all I have for today. I hope you liked the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.